Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fluento, the natural English podcast, where learning English feels just like talking to a friend. I'm Anna.
And I'm David. Hello, everyone. It feels so good to be back with you again. I've got my coffee, I've got my mic, and I'm ready for another cozy English chat.
Same here. Today's episode is one of those topics that sounds simple at first, but it's actually full of hidden details and opportunities to grow.
You're talking about the famous question, tell me about yourself.
Exactly. Everyone has heard it in school, in job interviews, in English classes, even on dates or when meeting new friends.
Oh, yes, it's one of those phrases that can make people freeze for a moment. You know that feeling? Someone says, so, tell me about yourself. And suddenly your brain just goes blank.
Yes, it happens to everyone, even native speakers sometimes. But the good news is, it doesn't have to be scary. You can learn how to answer it naturally, warmly, and with confidence.
That's the goal of today's conversation. We're not just going to teach the words, we'll help you feel what it means to talk about yourself in English.
Exactly. We'll talk like real people do, share our own stories, and show you some language and cultural tips along the way. So grab a cup of tea or coffee, get comfortable, and just listen like you're with two friends.
All right, Anna, let's do it. Since the topic is tell me about yourself, I think it's only fair that you start.
Oh, you're gonna make me go first?
Absolutely. I want to hear your best self-introduction.
Okay, let's see. My name is Anna. I'm from England. I'm an English teacher, and I love helping people feel confident when they speak English.
Beautiful. That's clear, friendly, and natural.
Thank you. It's simple, but it tells you something real about me. What about you, David? Tell me about yourself.
All right. My name is David. I'm from Canada. I work as a content creator and teacher, and I love exploring cultures and languages, especially through storytelling.
That's such a good way to put it. Through storytelling. You know, when we tell stories, we don't just share information, we share who we are.
Exactly. And that's what makes tell me about yourself such a powerful question. It's not really about facts, it's about connection.
That's a lovely point. When people ask this question in English, they're not asking for your life story. They just want to get to know you a little bit.
Right. I think sometimes English learners feel pressure, like they need to give the perfect answer. But really, you just need to be natural.
Yes. Think of it like starting a friendly conversation. You don't need big, complex sentences, just small, real details that show your personality.
You know, when I was learning French, I used to panic when someone asked me that question. I would prepare a little speech in my head, and then when the moment came, I'd forget half of it.
Oh, I can imagine. Did you have a script?
Oh yes, something like Je m'appelle David, je suis Canadien, j'aime les langues. Very robotic.
That's totally normal. But over time, it becomes easier when you relax. It's not about memorizing lines, it's about communicating who you are.
Exactly. And I think for English learners, the first step is just to focus on a few key ideas. Your name, where you're from, what you do, and maybe one small thing you like.
Yes, simple and friendly. You can say, "Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from London. I'm an English teacher, and I love helping people feel confident when they speak English."
Beautiful. That's clear, friendly, and natural.
Thank you. It's simple, but it tells you something real about me. What about you, David? Tell me about yourself.
All right. My name is David. I'm from Canada. I work as a content creator and teacher, and I love exploring cultures and languages, especially through storytelling.
That's such a good way to put it, through storytelling. You know, when we tell stories, we don't just share information, we share who we are.
Exactly. And that's what makes tell me about yourself such a powerful question. It's not really about facts, it's about connection.
That's a lovely point. When people ask this question in English, they're not asking for your life story. They just want to get to know you a little bit.
Right. I think sometimes English learners feel pressure, like they need to give the perfect answer. But really, you just need to be natural.
Yes. Think of it like starting a friendly conversation. You don't need big, complex sentences, just small, real details that show your personality.
You know what's funny is sometimes even native speakers use the same few lines every time they introduce themselves.
Like their safe zone script.
Exactly. Hi, I'm David. I'm from Canada. I love coffee.
Yes, it's like the universal introduction. Hi, I'm blank. I'm from blank. I love blank.
And honestly, that's fine. It's easy to remember and it gives people a reason to keep talking with you.
Totally. And you can always expand depending on the situation.
Right. For example, if you're in a job interview, you might say, I'm an English teacher with 5 years of experience, and I enjoy creating interactive lessons that help students speak confidently.
Whereas in a casual setting, like at a party, you might say, I'm a teacher, but outside of work, I'm really into photography.
Exactly. You adapt the level of detail to the situation.
One thing learners sometimes ask me is, what if I don't know what to say after my name and country?
That's such a good question. My advice is to add one personal detail, something small that shows your interests. For example, I'm from Brazil and I love cooking traditional food.
Yes. Or I'm from Japan and I enjoy hiking on weekends. Just one sentence like that makes your answer sound alive.
It's also a great way to practice vocabulary. Every time you describe something about yourself, you're reinforcing useful words, hobbies, activities, emotions.
Exactly. You're not only introducing yourself, you're learning how to talk about your world in English.
Speaking of which, that reminds me of a story.
Oh, here we go. I love your stories.
I was teaching English in Spain. I had a student named Martha. The first day, I asked everyone to introduce themselves. Martha said, Hello, my name is Martha. I am Spanish. I like food.
That's a good start.
Yes, but she looked very nervous, and she said it super quickly. After a few weeks, she became more confident. Later, she said, Hi, I'm Martha. I'm from Madrid. I love cooking, especially Spanish omelet. And everyone smiled and said, Oh, I love tortilla.
That's beautiful. Just one little detail, Spanish omelet, made it real.
Exactly. The class felt connected to her because she shared something personal.
That's such a good reminder for our listeners. When you talk about yourself, details matter, but small, honest ones, not too many.
Yes, just enough to start a real conversation.
One of my favorite tips for English learners is this. Think of your self-introduction as a story, not a list.
I love that. A story, not a list.
Right. You're not just checking boxes, name, country, age, job. You're painting a small picture of who you are.
That's so true. When you tell a little story, even a short one, people remember you.
Exactly. You can say, I grew up near the sea, so I love the sound of waves. It's simple, but it makes people feel something.
And that's what we want in any language: connection, emotion, warmth.
That's a beautiful way to begin our journey today. In the next part, we'll go deeper into how to talk about where you're from and the cultural ways people describe their background in English.
I can't wait, because where are you from always leads to interesting stories, sometimes funny, sometimes deep.
Yes, and it's one of the most common follow-up questions after, tell me about yourself.
So, in the first part, we talked about how tell me about yourself is more about connection than perfection, about sounding real, not robotic.
Yes, and now we're going to explore one of the first things people usually say after their name, where you're from.
Exactly. That little phrase, I'm from, sounds simple, but it can open up such interesting conversations.
It really can. And sometimes the way you describe your hometown tells people a lot about you, not just geography, but your values, your memories, your identity.
Absolutely. For example, when I say, I'm from Canada, people imagine snow, forests, maybe maple syrup.
Yes, I definitely think of snow when I hear Canada. But when you say it, David, you often add something more, don't you?
I do, yes. I usually say, I'm from a small city near Toronto. That gives people a clearer picture.
That's a really good example. For English learners, adding just a bit more detail makes your answer sound richer. You don't need to say a lot, even something like, I'm from a small town near Seoul, or I'm from the north of Italy, adds context.
Yes, and it helps the listener imagine the place.
Exactly. And if you want to sound more natural, you can add a little feeling. For example, I'm from a small town in Spain. It's quiet, but I love it.
That's great. Short, warm, and natural.
Or, I'm from Tokyo. It's a very busy city, but there's always something exciting to do.
Right. The pattern there is I'm from place, it's adjective, but you're feeling. That's a simple but powerful structure.
Let's repeat that slowly for our listeners. I'm from place. It's adjective, but you're feeling.
For example, I'm from Cairo. It's hot, but the people are friendly.
Or, I'm from Finland. It's cold, but very beautiful.
You can express contrast like that, but to sound more natural and emotional.
Yes, it makes your speech sound like you're thinking, not just repeating.
You know, that reminds me. When I first moved abroad, I noticed how differently people talk about their hometowns.
Oh, yes, I've noticed that too. Some cultures are very proud and emotional when they describe where they're from. Others are more modest or practical.
Exactly. For example, when I lived in Brazil, people often said things like, I'm from Rio. It's the most beautiful city in the world.
Yes, that enthusiasm is wonderful.
But in England, sometimes people are more humble. Oh, I'm from a little place. You probably haven't heard of it.
That's very true. I say that sometimes.
Yes, it's a cultural thing. So if you're learning English, you can choose your tone, proud, humble, or curious, depending on how you want to connect.
That's a great point. And you can also describe your hometown with adjectives that show how you feel about it, not just what it's like.
Oh, I love that. Could you give some examples?
Sure, you can say, I'm from a small town by the sea. It's peaceful. I miss it sometimes. Or, I'm from a big city. It's noisy, but full of life.
Beautiful. And notice how you said, I miss it sometimes. That adds emotion. It shows a bit of nostalgia.
Exactly. And those small emotional details help you sound like a native speaker because you're expressing feeling, not just facts.
You know, that reminds me, when I first lived abroad, I used to say, I'm from Canada, but Japan feels like home now. And people always smiled at that.
Oh, that's such a lovely sentence. It shows that you're open to new places, but you still carry your identity.
Yeah, I think that's something that many of our listeners can relate to. Living abroad, studying overseas, or feeling connected to more than one place.
Definitely. And it's okay to express that in English. You can say things like, I'm originally from Mexico, but I live in London now.
Or, I was born in India, but I grew up in Canada.
That's a very natural pattern, by the way. I was born in place, but I grew up in place.
Yes, let's slow that down for our listeners. I was born in place, but I grew up in place.
Perfect. And grew up means where you spent your childhood.
Exactly. It's a lovely phrase. I grew up in tells people a lot about your background.
You know, David, one of my students once said something really sweet. She said, I'm from two places, the one where I was born and the one where I found happiness.
Wow, that's beautiful. I got chills.
Me too. I thought that's what language does. It lets us express our heart.
You're right, and that's why when we teach Tell Me About Yourself, we're not just teaching English, we're teaching connection.
Yes, let's help our listeners practice that now.
Great idea.
Okay, everyone listening, try this. Say out loud, I'm from your city or country. It's adjective, but your feeling.
For example, I'm from Istanbul. It's busy but full of history.
I'm from Seoul. It's modern, but I love the old traditional parts.
I'm from Mexico City. It's huge but always full of life.
Good. Saying these sentences out loud helps your mouth and mind work together in English.
And don't worry if your accent is different. Your accent is part of your identity. It's part of your story.
Absolutely. Never be ashamed of it. When people hear your accent, they hear your journey.
You know, that's such an important point because Tell Me About Yourself is really about sharing your voice.
Yes, and your voice includes your language, your experiences, your rhythm.
You know what's interesting, Anna? Sometimes people answer that question with too many facts, like, I'm from Paris, it's the capital, there are many people, it's big.
Yes, very factual.
But it's more engaging if you add a feeling. For example, I'm from Paris, it's a busy city, but I love sitting in cafes and watching people go by.
Exactly. It turns it from information into an image.
That's the secret. Don't describe, paint.
Beautifully said. And it doesn't have to be poetic, just honest. I'm from a small town in Italy. I love the food there. Simple, but personal.
You know, that actually makes me want to ask you, Anna, where are you from exactly?
Well, I'm from a small town just outside London. It's quiet and green, lots of parks and trees.
Sounds lovely. Do you miss it?
Sometimes, yes, especially in the spring when everything starts to bloom. But I also love the energy of the city.
So, kind of the best of both worlds. Calm roots, but a lively spirit.
Yes, exactly. And you, David, you said you're from near Toronto, right?
Yes, it's a mid-sized city, not huge, but not small. Lots of nature around, lakes, forests, and long snowy winters.
Do you miss the snow?
Sometimes, I miss how quiet it is after a snowfall. Everything slows down. But I don't miss shoveling the driveway.
Fair enough.
You know, when I talk about my hometown in English, I often realize how memories shape language.
That's true. We don't just describe where we're from, we describe how we feel about where we're from.
Exactly. And that gives language its soul.
That's a lovely thought, David.
Thank you. So, to everyone listening, when you talk about your hometown, don't be afraid to show emotion. Pride, nostalgia, humor, it's all part of who you are.
Absolutely. And that's what makes introductions memorable.
You know, this makes me think about accents again, because sometimes people feel they have to sound perfectly American or perfectly British.
Yes, but there's no such thing as perfect. The goal is to be clear, not perfect.
Exactly. And your accent can actually make your introduction more interesting. When you say, I'm from Brazil, and your voice carries a little melody from Portuguese, that's beautiful.
It really is. It's like your identity is speaking through your words.
That's what makes English a global language. So many voices, so many stories.
Absolutely. And speaking of stories, in the next part, we're going to move from where you're from to what you do,
Yes, how to talk about your job, studies, or daily life in natural English, depending on the situation.
and also how to express what you love about what you do, because passion always makes language come alive.
So, we've talked about where we're from and how to describe that naturally. But there's another big part of Tell Me About Yourself that people often struggle with, talking about what you do.
Oh, yes. What do you do? It sounds like such a small question, but it can be surprisingly tricky to answer, especially in English.
Totally. It's one of those phrases that means more than it seems. Sometimes it means, what's your job? But sometimes it just means, what do you spend your time on?
Exactly. And that difference is really important. In English, when people ask, "What do you do?" they're often not just talking about work. They're asking, "What's your life like?"
Yes, like if someone says, so what do you do? You can talk about your studies, your family, your hobbies, whatever feels natural.
Right, it doesn't have to be formal. For example, if I meet someone new, I might say, "I teach English online and make podcasts to help people learn naturally." That's simple, but it gives them something to ask about.
And it sounds friendly. You're not listing job titles, you're describing your life in a conversational way.
Exactly. Now, for our listeners, here's a little structure that helps. Think of it like this: what you do, plus where or how you do it, plus why you like it.
That's such a good formula. Let's give a few examples.
Sure, I work in a hospital as a nurse, and I really love helping people feel better.
Or, I'm a student at university studying computer science. I like solving problems and building new things.
Perfect. It sounds natural, warm, and confident.
I've noticed, though, that sometimes learners feel shy about their jobs or their studies. Like they think, oh, my job isn't interesting, or my English isn't good enough to talk about it.
Oh, yes, I hear that a lot. But every job or situation has something interesting about it. It's just about how you describe it.
Exactly. You could be working in a supermarket and say, I work in a local store. I meet lots of people every day, and it helps me practice speaking English.
That's such a nice answer.
Yes, it's all about seeing the value in your experience. And it sounds authentic. People love that.
You know, when I first started teaching, I used to say, "I'm a teacher." But later, I learned to add a little more. "I'm a teacher. I help people use English in real life." It feels more human.
Yes, adding that purpose, I help people or I enjoy, it changes everything.
Let's talk about students for a second, because for many English learners, they're not working full time yet. How should they answer?
Good point. You can simply say, I'm a student, but you can make it more personal. Like, I'm a student at high school. I love learning languages and music.
Or, "I'm studying engineering. It's challenging, but I like understanding how things work."
Yes, that word, challenging, is a nice one. It shows you're honest but positive.
Absolutely. It's a good example of emotional vocabulary. You can say it's busy, it's fun, it's rewarding, or it's creative. Those words help you sound natural.
And remember, you don't have to sound perfect. Just talk with a smile in your voice.
Yes, tone matters so much. If you sound relaxed and kind, people feel it immediately.
You know what's interesting? In some cultures, people don't usually talk much about work in introductions. It might feel private or too serious.
That's true, but in English-speaking cultures, it's often just a friendly topic. Not about status, just about sharing.
Exactly. So don't feel like you're bragging or being formal. It's just small talk.
Speaking of that, do you remember when we went to that cafe last year and met that guy from Italy?
Oh, yes, Marco.
Yeah, when I asked him, "So what do you do?" He said, "I make pizza." And then he laughed and added, "Real pizza, not the frozen one."
Everyone laughed.
I remember. It was such a great moment. His answer was simple, but it had personality.
Exactly. That's the magic. Personality. He wasn't trying to sound perfect. He was just being himself.
And that's really what makes your English shine, being you.
Let's try a quick exercise for our listeners. Imagine someone just asked you, so what do you do? Take a second and think of your answer in English. You can use this model. I'm a blank job or student. I blank do something specific. I like it because blank.
For example, "I'm a designer. I create logos and websites. I love being creative and helping people express their ideas."
Or I'm a stay-at-home parent. I take care of my children and cook every day. It's busy, but very rewarding.
That's beautiful. Every answer tells a little story.
Exactly. And it helps people connect to you instantly.
Now, once we've talked about what we do, people often naturally move to another topic, our daily life.
Yes, that day-to-day rhythm. Questions like, what's a typical day like for you? Or how do you spend your time?
That's such a useful topic for English learners because it gives you so many verbs to practice.
Exactly. And you can make it sound natural just by adding little details like, I usually wake up around 7, I have coffee, and check my phone before starting work.
Or I work from home, so I spend a lot of time on my computer. In the evenings, I like going for a walk to relax.
Perfect. That's everyday English. Simple, but real.
And it helps people imagine your world. They can almost see your day.
You know what's funny? When students practice this, they sometimes forget how interesting their normal lives actually are.
True, even small routines like making breakfast, listening to music, or walking your dog are great material for conversation.
Exactly. It's not about being exciting, it's about being human.
So, to summarize this part, when someone says, "Tell me about yourself," you can include your job, studies, or daily life. Just make it warm, specific, and true.
Beautifully said. And next, we'll move into another area that really brings life to introductions, talking about your family and relationships.
Oh, yes, one of my favorite parts because family stories always bring out emotion, laughter, and personality.
And they're a great way to show your culture, too.
Absolutely.
All right, we've talked about what we do, our daily routines, and how to describe that naturally. But there's another big part of who we are, our family.
Yes, family is such a natural part of introductions. Even when you're meeting new people, it's common to talk a little about your family, where they live, what they do, or how close you are.
Absolutely. And it's also one of those topics that helps people connect, because everyone, no matter where they're from, has a family story.
True. But before we go into details, let's start with a simple question. How do you even start talking about family in English without sounding too personal?
Great question. I usually suggest starting very gently, just the basics. You can say something like, I have a small family, or I come from a big family. That's friendly and neutral.
Yes. Or, I have one brother and one sister. Very natural. You don't need to give names or too much detail unless you want to.
Exactly. And you can add something small to make it warmer, like, I have one older sister, we're really close. Or, I have two brothers, they're both very funny.
That little emotional detail makes such a difference. It sounds more real, not robotic.
Definitely. I remember one of my students once said, I have one brother. He's taller than me and always steals my snacks.
That's so good. It's funny, simple, and instantly human.
Exactly. You can share small things like that. It doesn't have to be serious.
And it's also a chance to practice comparatives. Taller, older, younger, funnier, etc.
Right. English learners can naturally use those forms when talking about family. My sister is older than me. My brother is younger. My dad is funnier, and so on.
You can even add a little story, like, my mom loves gardening, and when I was a kid, I used to help her plant flowers.
That's such a nice memory. It's those small details that make your English sound alive.
Yes, and if someone asks, do you have a big family? You can answer and then add something cultural. For example, yes, I have a big family. Family gatherings are very important in my culture.
That's a beautiful answer. It shows your values and culture in just one sentence.
Exactly. You can also use phrases like, we're very close. We live together. We see each other often. My parents live in another city. I visit my family every weekend.
Those are great, simple sentences that you can use in everyday conversation.
I think family is one of those topics that helps you feel English, not just speak it. Because when you talk about family, your tone changes, it becomes warmer, softer.
So true. You can actually hear the love in someone's voice when they talk about their family.
Exactly. And it also helps build cultural understanding. Like when I talk to students from Asia, they often tell me how family traditions are very strong. Big dinners, celebrations, respect for parents.
Yes, and that's something I love learning about. In the UK, family life can be different. Maybe smaller families or people moving away for work, but the love and connection are the same.
Absolutely. Different cultures, same emotions.
Another interesting thing is how people describe relationships in English. Not just family, but friends, partners, or people they care about.
Yes, because tell me about yourself often includes who's important in your life.
Exactly. You can say, I'm married, I have a partner, I'm single, or even, I live with my best friend. All simple everyday English.
And if you don't want to share personal details, that's completely fine too. You can just say, I live with family, or I live with a friend.
Yes, there's always a polite way to keep it general.
Speaking of friends, that's another lovely part of introductions. You can mention the people who make your life special.
Absolutely. I sometimes say, I have a small circle of friends, but we're very close. We love cooking together on weekends.
That sounds so cozy.
It is. And how about you, David?
I usually say something like, I have a few good friends. We like traveling and trying new foods together.
That's such a good way to describe friendship. It's about shared experiences.
Yes, and learners can easily practice this by using verbs like go out, hang out, talk, travel, laugh, eat, watch movies.
Exactly. Those verbs make your sentences sound natural and lively. For example, my best friend and I love watching movies and talking about life.
Perfect, short, personal, and clear.
Another thing people often ask in English conversations is, do you live alone? Or who do you live with? That's a very common follow-up.
Right. And you can answer in many ways. I live alone. I live with my parents. I share an apartment with a friend. I live with my partner.
Yes, it's all part of the natural flow of introductions. Name, work, family, daily life.
And when you add these pieces together, your job, your hometown, your family, your daily routine, it starts forming a real picture of you.
Exactly. It becomes a story. You're not just giving facts, you're sharing a little piece of your world.
And that's what makes language learning so beautiful. You start expressing who you are, not just what you know.
I love that.
This reminds me of one of my students, Yelena. She once told me, I used to hate talking about myself in English because I felt boring. But then she realized that she could share her story with emotion, talk about her grandmother, her family traditions, and suddenly her English sounded amazing.
That's such a great example because it's not about perfect grammar, it's about authentic stories.
Exactly. Emotion beats perfection every time.
So, to everyone listening, when someone asks, tell me about yourself, don't be afraid to include small things about your family or friends. Just be yourself, natural, kind, and open.
And remember, even simple sentences can be powerful if they come from the heart.
So true.
Next, we're going to dive into something really fun, talking about your likes, dislikes, and hobbies.
Oh, yes. One of my favorite parts. Because when you talk about what you love, music, movies, travel, food, that's when your English becomes truly alive.
Exactly. And it's also one of the easiest ways to build real connections in English.
So stay tuned.
All right, so far we've talked about family, friends, and the small details that help you share who you are. But now we get to the fun part.
Yes, the part everyone enjoys. Talking about what you like and love.
Right. Because when you talk about your likes, your voice changes. You sound happier, more expressive, more you.
That's so true. And it's also an amazing opportunity for English learners to practice natural rhythm and intonation, the music of English.
Exactly. You can hear it, right? If I say, I like reading, it sounds flat. But if I say, Oh, I love reading, especially before bed. It comes alive.
That's a great example. So when we talk about things we can use words like, love, enjoy, prefer, be into, or even I'm crazy about.
Yes, like, I'm really into photography, or I'm crazy about jazz music.
Those expressions sound so natural and they show emotion.
Right, and sometimes learners hesitate to say love because it feels too strong. But in English, we use love very casually.
That's a good point. We say, I love chocolate or I love watching movies, even though it's not romantic love. It's just strong enjoyment.
Exactly. And talking about hobbies is one of the easiest ways to make friends or connect with people in English.
Yes, it's a very safe topic. You can say, in my free time, I like to, or on weekends, I enjoy,
That's a perfect pattern. For example, in my free time, I like to play the guitar.
or on weekends, I enjoy going hiking with my friends.
Nice. You can also say, I spend a lot of time, like, I spend a lot of time reading, or I spend a lot of time watching documentaries.
Exactly. It shows that it's something regular in your life.
So, Anna, let me ask, what are some of your favorite hobbies?
Let's see. I love reading, especially novels that explore human emotions. I also enjoy walking. Long walks in nature help me think and breathe.
That sounds peaceful.
It is. What about you? What do you like to do in your free time?
I love cooking, especially on weekends when I have more time. I like to experiment. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes not so much.
What's your specialty dish?
Uh, I make a pretty good homemade curry.
That sounds delicious.
It is when it doesn't turn out too spicy.
I can imagine. See, this is what makes talking about hobbies so easy. It leads to little stories and jokes.
Exactly. You can start with, I love cooking, and then suddenly you're telling a story about how you burned your first pancake.
It makes you sound real, and that's what communication is about.
This reminds me of how different cultures view hobbies.
Oh, yes, that's interesting.
In some countries, hobbies are very social. People play sports or sing in groups. In others, hobbies are quiet and personal. Reading, painting, gardening.
That's true. In Japan, for example, many people enjoy hobbies that focus on patience and mindfulness, like origami, calligraphy, or gardening.
Yes. And in Italy, people love activities that bring others together. Cooking, long meals, talking, laughter.
So, if you want to talk about hobbies in English, you can also mention why you love them.
Right, like I love painting because it helps me relax, or I enjoy running because it gives me energy.
That's a great structure. I like activity because reason.
Exactly. Simple and powerful.
And for dislikes, it's similar. You can say, I don't like, or I'm not a fan of, or I'm not really into.
Yes, for example, I'm not really into horror movies, or I don't like crowded places.
Perfect. That sounds polite and natural.
You can even soften it more by saying, it's not my thing.
Oh, yes, that's such a natural phrase. Camping? That's not really my thing.
That sounds like me. I love nature, but I also love hotels.
I understand completely. So, when you talk about likes and dislikes, it's not just vocabulary, it's also personality.
Exactly. People learn who you are through what you love and what you avoid.
And that's how language becomes a reflection of identity.
You know, I remember a student who once told me, I love collecting old postcards. And she explained that it helped her connect with history. It was such a unique hobby.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love when students share their passions. You learn so much about people that way.
Yes, and it's also a reminder that there's no boring hobby. What matters is how you talk about it.
Exactly. If you speak with passion, your English becomes interesting, no matter what the topic is.
And that passion makes people listen.
Sometimes when you talk about hobbies in English, you can connect with someone instantly.
Absolutely. Like, imagine you say, I love photography, and the person says, really, me too. Suddenly, you're sharing techniques, favorite places, stories, all in English.
Yes, and that kind of emotional connection is what keeps language learning alive.
Definitely. So, for our listeners, I'd suggest this small practice. Write down 3 things you love doing and 1 thing you don't enjoy.
That's a great idea. And then make a short paragraph, even 5 sentences, to describe them.
Yes, something like, I love listening to jazz because it helps me relax. I also enjoy hiking on weekends. I don't like loud clubs. I prefer quiet cafes.
Perfect example. That's simple, expressive, English that feels natural.
And when you practice it aloud, focus on emotion. Smile a little, use your voice.
Exactly. Language isn't only about words, it's also about how you say them.
You know what I love about this topic? It gives learners a safe way to practice confidence.
Oh, yes. Because when you talk about things you enjoy, you naturally sound more confident.
Exactly. Confidence grows from comfort.
And the more you share about what you love, the more English becomes part of your life, not just a subject.
I think that's the secret right there. When English becomes personal, it becomes powerful.
Beautifully said.
So next time someone asks, tell me about yourself, you can say something like, I'm from Brazil, I'm a software designer, and I love surfing. Boom. Simple, clear, alive.
Exactly. Or I'm from Korea. I study design and I love painting and traveling.
That's it. Your hobbies are your stories waiting to be told.
And each story is a chance to connect, not just communicate.
In the next part, we're going to explore how to talk about your dreams and goals, what you want for your future. Another beautiful way to express yourself naturally in English.
Oh, I love that. It's where motivation and language meet.
Exactly.
In this part, we're going to talk about something that always inspires me: dreams and goals.
Ah, yes. The part of tell me about yourself that really lets you show your heart.
Exactly. Because when someone asks, what do you want to do in the future? Or what are your goals? They're not just asking for facts, they're asking to understand what drives you.
I love that. And it's such an important topic for English learners, too, because it gives you a chance to practice future tenses in a natural way.
Right. You can use I want to, I'd like to, I hope to, I plan to, my dream is to.
Those are beautiful patterns. For example, I want to travel the world, or I hope to start my own business one day.
Exactly. It's so simple, but it carries so much emotion.
Sometimes when students tell me their dreams, their English suddenly becomes clearer, as if their heart helps them find the right words.
That's such a powerful observation. It's true. When you talk about what you truly want, language flows more naturally.
Yes, because you stop focusing on mistakes and you start focusing on meaning.
Exactly. You speak from yourself, not about yourself.
Oh, that's beautiful, Anna. I like that difference. From yourself, not about yourself.
Thank you. It's something I've noticed after years of teaching. The best English happens when people stop performing and start expressing.
That's so true.
So let's make this real. David, tell me, what's one dream or goal you have for the future?
Hmm. Let me think. Well, one of my dreams is to write a book about stories from people I've met while teaching English.
Oh, that's such a beautiful idea.
I've met so many students from all over the world, each with a different story. Some are funny, some are emotional, some are full of hope. I'd love to collect those stories and show how language connects us.
That sounds wonderful. I can imagine that book full of laughter, courage, and culture.
What about you, Anna? What's a dream of yours?
Well, one of my dreams is to live near the ocean. somewhere peaceful, maybe in Portugal or New Zealand. I'd like to have a small house with a garden and a view of the sea.
That sounds like paradise.
It's not just about the view. It's about the feeling of calm, of space, of time to think and create.
That's so you. That- I can see you walking by the sea, notebook in hand, writing ideas for new lessons.
Probably. I think dreams don't always have to be big. They just need to be true.
Yes, they can be quiet dreams, dreams that bring peace, not fame.
Exactly. And for English learners, it's so important to talk about dreams, even small ones.
Right. It's not just, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be rich. It can be, I'd like to speak English confidently, or I want to visit another country, or I hope to meet new people.
Yes, every dream counts. And saying your dreams in English helps you believe in them more.
You know, when I first started learning Spanish, my teacher asked me, "Why do you want to learn?" I said, "Because I want to travel and connect." And just saying it aloud made it feel real.
Exactly. That's the power of language. When you speak your dreams, you start moving toward them.
Beautifully said.
And there are so many ways to express goals in English. For example, my goal is to. I'm working toward. I'd like to improve. I'm hoping to.
Yes, so you could say, "My goal is to get a new job," or "I'm working toward speaking English fluently," or "I'm hoping to move abroad next year."
Perfect examples. And notice how natural they sound. You can use them in real life, in interviews or casual conversations.
And you can make them more emotional by adding why. For example, "I want to learn English so I can travel and meet people from around the world."
Yes, or I want to start my own cafe because I love creating spaces where people feel at home.
Oh, I love that one. That's such a warm dream.
Thank you. And see, when we explain why, we share our values. That's what makes language so personal.
You know, it's interesting how the question, "Tell me about yourself," can lead to your future, too. Because who you are isn't just what you've done, it's also what you hope to do.
Ah, that's such a good point. I think that's the most beautiful part of self introduction. It's not only past and present, it's also possibility.
Exactly. You're giving a little window into your dreams.
And that's something we all have in common, no matter where we come from. Everyone has a dream.
Yes, and they don't have to be perfect or finished. Dreams are living things.
That's very poetic.
Maybe I've been hanging around you too long.
I'll take that as a compliment. But seriously, this is one of the most beautiful topics to practice in English because it builds emotional vocabulary. Words like hope, wish, plan, believe, imagine, achieve.
And you can combine them in so many meaningful ways. I hope to improve my English. I wish I could live abroad. I'd like to start a new project. I believe I can make a difference.
Each of those sentences carries a dream, a small spark of something real.
You know, I once had a student from Thailand who said, "My dream is to speak English well enough to make foreign friends and learn about their cultures." And the way she said it, it wasn't about grammar or accent. It was about connection.
That's so touching.
Yeah. And now she travels the world teaching Thai online to her international friends, all because she wasn't afraid to say her dream aloud.
That's incredible. See, when you tell someone your dream, it's like planting a seed.
Yes, the more you talk about it, the more it grows.
I really believe that. And I hope our listeners start doing that. Not just practicing vocabulary, but speaking their future into existence.
Oh, I love that phrase, speaking your future into existence.
I'm smiling softly.
It's true.
Words are powerful.
They really are.
So, dear listeners, maybe tonight before you go to sleep, ask yourself, what's my dream? And then say it aloud in English.
It doesn't matter if it's small or big, possible or not yet. What matters is that you believe in it enough to speak it.
And that's one of the best ways to grow, both in language and in life.
Well said.
Thank you. And when we come back, we'll explore how to describe your personality, how to talk about what kind of person you are in English naturally and confidently.
Oh, that's one of my favorite topics because it's where language meets identity.
Exactly.
In this part, we're going to explore something that feels simple, but is actually quite deep. Describing your personality in English.
Haha, yes. The part where people often pause and say, how do I describe myself?
Exactly. It's funny, we talk about our jobs, our hobbies, our families so easily. But when someone says, "What kind of person are you?" it suddenly feels big.
True, because you're not just listing facts anymore. You're trying to describe your inner self.
Exactly. But don't worry, we'll make it easy and natural.
Let's start with something simple. When someone asks, how would you describe yourself? You can start with, I'd say I think I'm quite. My friends would describe me as.
Yes, that last one is one of my favorites. My friends would describe me as, it sounds humble and natural.
For example, my friends would describe me as friendly and patient.
Or I'd say I'm an easygoing person.
Right. And if you're not sure how to start, here are some useful personality words you can use. Friendly, kind, honest, creative, hardworking, easygoing, funny, reliable, curious, organized.
Those are great. And notice, none of them are too strong or too formal. They're the kind of words people actually use in everyday English.
Exactly. You don't need big words like meticulous or gregarious.
Yes, sometimes learners try to sound too advanced, but simple English can be just as powerful.
Right. I am a positive person. Or I like helping people. That's real English.
And you can make your answer more natural by adding a small example, like, I'm a creative person. I love coming up with new ideas for projects. Or, I'm friendly. I enjoy meeting new people.
Exactly. One sentence of example makes your answer come alive.
And it's also okay to be honest about your challenges. You can say, sometimes I'm a bit shy at first, but once I get comfortable, I talk a lot.
That's such a great example. It shows self-awareness and balance.
Yes, you can also say things like, I can be a little impatient, or I sometimes worry too much, but then add something positive. I'm learning to be more patient, or I'm trying to relax more.
Right. That shows growth, which always sounds natural and mature.
You know, this reminds me of something one of my students once said. I asked her, how would you describe yourself? And she said, I'm a listener.
Ah, I love that.
Me too. It was so simple, but so deep. She said, I like listening to people's stories. And you could just feel who she was.
That's the magic of personality language. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be true.
Exactly.
You know, one of the most common ways this topic appears is in job interviews or first meetings. Someone says, tell me about yourself. And you can naturally include a few personality traits.
Yes. For example, I'm a responsible person. I always finish my work on time. Or I'm creative. I like finding new ways to solve problems.
Those sound natural and confident.
Or in a more friendly setting, you could say, I'm pretty easygoing. I get along with most people. Or I'm very curious. I love learning new things.
And that last one is perfect for learners because it shows you're open to growth.
Definitely. And it's a lovely quality to share.
You know, it's also fun to describe personality by comparing, not just saying, I am, but I'm more than.
Oh, yes. Like, I'm more introverted than extroverted, or I'm more calm than energetic.
Exactly. It helps paint a more natural, balanced picture.
Yes, and it's also a great grammar pattern to practice. I'm more blank
than blank. It's so useful in conversations.
You can even use humor with it, like, I'm more coffee than tea, or I'm more cat than dog.
I love that. It's light, funny, and it shows personality without being too serious.
Yes, and humor always helps people feel comfortable around you.
I think describing personality is one of the most human parts of language. It's about saying, this is who I am. This is how I see myself.
That's true. And it connects so deeply with emotion because when you describe your personality, you're showing not just your words, but your essence.
That's so beautiful.
Thanks. I think it's one of the reasons I love teaching English. I get to see how people express their identity through a new language.
Yes. And for learners listening, remember your English doesn't have to be perfect to show who you are. Even simple words can reveal your soul.
Exactly. I'm kind. I'm curious. I care about people. Those are some of the most powerful sentences you can say.
Absolutely. So maybe take a moment to think. How would you describe yourself? What are 3 words that show who you are?
And if you want to practice, you can even write it down or say it aloud. I'd say I'm, and then finish the sentence.
That's a great exercise. It builds confidence and helps you connect more with your English voice.
I love that term, English voice.
We all have one. It's the voice that grows as you learn to express yourself more freely.
Beautiful.
And when we come back in the next part, we'll explore something that brings everything together, talking about your life experiences and lessons learned.
Oh, that's going to be powerful. It's where language becomes storytelling.
Exactly.
Welcome back, everyone. If you've been listening from the beginning, thank you for staying with us on this long, beautiful journey.
Yes, we've explored so much together, from names and hometowns to jobs, families, hobbies, and even personality.
And now we're at one of my favorite parts, the stories behind who we are.
Ah, yes, the things that shaped us, the experiences that make Tell Me About Yourself more than just a list of facts.
Exactly. When we talk about ourselves, we're not just sharing information, we're sharing our journey.
That's so true, because every time someone asks, Tell me about yourself, what they really want to know is, what made you who you are today?
Yes. And stories are the most natural way to express that.
You know, Anna, if I had to share one story that changed how I see myself, it would be the year I moved abroad for the first time.
Oh, yes, I remember you mentioning that before.
It was both exciting and terrifying. I didn't know anyone, my English wasn't perfect back then, and everything felt new. But little by little, I learned that I could adapt, that I could grow.
That's beautiful. It's a story that shows resilience, the ability to keep going and learn.
Yes, and I think that's something everyone listening can relate to. Learning English itself is a journey like that. It's not always easy, but every little success, every time you understand a word or express a thought, that's a victory.
Absolutely. And it's the same when you tell your story in English. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real.
That's such an important reminder. When someone says, Tell me about yourself, don't think, I need perfect grammar. Think, I want to share something honest.
Yes. Maybe you talk about a challenge you faced, or a dream you're working toward, or something that taught you an important lesson.
Like patience or courage or kindness.
Exactly. For example, I could say, I used to be afraid of speaking in front of people, but after becoming a teacher, I learned to enjoy it. Now, I love helping others feel confident too.
That's such a great example. Simple, clear, and meaningful.
Thank you. And you can hear how naturally it tells a story. There's a past, a change, and a result.
Yes, that's a good structure for anyone listening. Past, change, result.
Exactly. You can say, I used to, but now for example, I used to be shy, but now I'm more confident.
That pattern is so powerful, and it's a wonderful way to show growth in a job interview, in a friendship, even in a language class.
Yes, it tells people that you're learning, that you're human, that you're alive.
And that's what tell me about yourself is really about, showing your humanity.
You know, one of my favorite things to ask students is, what are you proud of?
Oh, I love that question.
It changes everything. Instead of focusing on mistakes or what they can't do, they start thinking about what they can do, what they've accomplished.
Yes, it gives them power because pride connects us to gratitude and growth.
Exactly. And you can answer that question simply, too. You can say, I'm proud that I learned English by myself, or I'm proud that I helped my family, or I'm proud that I didn't give up.
Those are such beautiful examples. They remind me that language isn't just words, it's emotion, courage, and memory.
That's right.
You know, when I think about how to answer, tell me about yourself now, I think of it as a story of connection. I want the person listening to feel who I am, not just hear the words.
Yes, that's the secret. People remember how you make them feel, not the exact sentences you say.
Exactly. So if you speak with warmth and sincerity, people will remember you.
Even if your English isn't perfect, it doesn't matter. What matters is your heart.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone listening today.
We hope this episode helped you feel inspired, encouraged, and ready to share who you are in your beautiful English voice.
And we'd love to hear from you. Leave us a comment. Tell us about yourself, even just a few sentences.
Yes, we read every single one. And remember, your story matters.
It really does.
Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep speaking your truth.
See you soon, everyone.
Bye for now.